Advocate Jacob Francis Mudenda, the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament of Zimbabwe. I attended the second meeting of UPNOD in Côte d'Ivoire, and after that meeting committed myself that we would introduce the concept of development evaluation in Zimbabwe through our parliament. And accordingly, we asked the members who had attended the second meeting of UPNOD to move a motion in parliament, and that motion was debated, and the National Assembly agreed that the Parliament of Zimbabwe should form a chapter, and accordingly several members of parliament registered to form that chapter, and at their inaugural meeting decided to elect a substantive executive. And that executive has come up with a program of action, one of which is to hold a workshop for all members of parliament in our parliament, so that the concept of development evaluation is discussed in terms of the 10 reasons why we should have development evaluation is agreed to at the Nepal UPNOD Global Conference. And we do so in order to enhance the oversight and legislative as well as the representative role of our members of parliament. As far as oversight is concerned, development evaluation will help our members to be more critical in analyzing executive policies of government, which normally would lead into the crafting of bills that are presented to Parliament. And the role of development evaluation is to critically analyze to what extent these policies would create quality in the lives of the people, and to what extent the executive actually will fulfill those policies in terms of implementation. When it comes to the stage of crafting the relevant legislation, it will be very important that the pieces of legislation that will come before Parliament would be scrutinized in such a manner that Parliament is satisfied that the pieces of legislation do create and promote the ease of doing business in Zimbabwe, insofar as attracting foreign and domestic investment, and also look at legislation to the extent that does the legislation in fact promote accountability in terms of the implementation processes of that piece of legislation, all those pieces of legislation. We also would want to encourage members of parliament in their constituencies to evoke that sense of mission and vision regarding development evaluation. They too must be self-introspective to find out that in their representative roles, do they embrace development evaluation. For example, if in the budget has been allocated some funds for the construction of a dam, and the question that should arise from the concept of development evaluation would be, to what extent does that dam go beyond the provision of drinking water for the human beings, as well as drinking water for the domesticated animals that they keep. We would expect, in terms of development evaluation, that dam creates possibility of establishing irrigation schemes. Irrigation schemes where there will be market gardens, and these market gardens will make it easy for communities around that dam to ensure that not only do they have sufficient food, but also grow the type of food that increases their nutrition. And I believe that nutrition is critical when you discuss health matters. To that extent, you are looking at the qualitative contribution of the construction of that dam and going beyond simply having water to drink for the human beings and their domesticated animals which they keep. And also, we would like to apply development evaluation in terms of members of parliament being critical of the projects in their constituencies, insofar as ensuring that the implementation processes do create change in the quality of life of the people. So as representatives of the people in their constituencies, they would have then to ensure that there is quality development and accountability in the implementation process. As for the future, I want to believe that members of parliament will join the chapter in their big numbers, and that as far as the membership of parliament is concerned, I want to admit that I'm not agreeable to having parliament as an associate member at the institutional level. During our debate of the annual report that has been presented, we would like to push for the centrality of parliament and make parliament as a permanent member of APNOT, because when you restrict parliament to associate membership, and yet that parliament is as a result of the collective membership of individual parliaments, the institutional memory may be lost if parliament is simply an associate member. So it is my belief that parliament should be a full member, and that parliament must play a key role in driving APNOT among members of parliament. I say this also because you have an outturn of members of parliament. Not all members of parliament come back after elections. So we want to place the institutional memory of APNOT in the institution of parliament, so that when new members of parliament come in, parliament be there as a central institution to drive for new membership among the new members of parliament who will be elected then. To that extent, I would like to advocate that parliament, or our parliaments, be fully fledged members of APNOT and not as associate members.